It was the fall classic that carried a nation's grief and ended a dynasty. We're talking about the 2001 World Series between the New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. My name is Joel Beck.
And I'm Chad Konecky, and episode 2 of Where Were You begins now.
Hey, where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you when the sports ball thing happened that was awesome or really bad? These guys want to talk about it, Joel and Chad. Did a game change your life? Were you there in the crowd? Did you weep like a baby because you were so proud? Do you have a tattoo or a ritual or two that you actually believe's the reason why they win or lose? Yeah, where were you? Where were you?
Where were you?
Where were you for history in the making? Did it make you happy or crazy mad? These guys wanna talk about it, not a single doubt about it. Listen to them talk about it, Joel and Chad.
Hello, world, and welcome back to episode number 2 of Where Were You? Alongside my co-host, Chad Konecky. My name is Joel Beck. Chad, welcome back. You came back for more. You decided to do it again.
Well, you told me people listened.
Yeah. You know, honest to God, we've been getting feedback. We're out on the internet. We're out on the world. People are watching, listening.
What does that
Do you
mean?
know what this makes us? Do you know what we are?
What does it mean? What does
We're
it mean?
honest to God influencers now. This is it. We've made it. We are living the Gen Z dream. This is it.
So good.
It's so good. Yeah. Now I just have to have a word with payroll because I checked my bank account and I didn't see anything in there this week. But I'm
No message from HR.
no
Nothing.
message from HR. Yeah, but I'm sure it's a holiday weekend coming up. I'm sure things will get lagged up. So
Of course.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to work 2 weeks before you start getting paid. I don't know.
yeah, could be. Yeah, the money will start rolling in soon. I'm sure. Which is the only reason we're doing this is to get rich. No, we're doing it because it's fun. It's fun. We got a fun show planned today. This is, I mean, it's going to be. There's so much to talk about. This was, I think, one of the 2 or 3 most memorable World Series and just moments in history in both of our lives. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
The
I have
2001 World
to say,
Series.
I
Yeah.
have to say, when you picked this subject matter for this episode, I was like, I remember watching that. I remember it was a great World Series, but is that a show? And then I did some show prep, and it refreshed my memory. And this is a really good show.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit, just to kind of backtrack a little bit about. We talked at the beginning. We got a little bit of feedback. You got some real reader emails to listen to. What do you got?
Yeah, we got a mailbag.
You got a
and
mailbag,
It was stunning, frankly.
and it's not our moms. I mean,
No. And so we had it was kind of predictably it was either Boston area people or Boston Red
Sure.
Sox fan.
What do you got?
So I have 3. I have Gene from Brookline wrote, I loved your podcast. I particularly loved your teasing Aaron Boone about his golf game.
I'm sure. I know Aaron. Aaron Boone wrote to me too. He loved it. He said, "Oh, that was great. Thank you for doing that."
He's not busy, so and then we got one from Jerry from Marblehead. And Jerry said, just listen to the podcast. Amazing. Had forgotten many of those details, like Veritek having those pass balls when he caught for Wakefield. So good.
Man. Yeah, good stuff.
That 2 more. Timothy from Middlesex County said, I wanted to check in and first say how much I enjoyed discovering your podcast. Got taken back to those pivotal games, 03 and 04 games myself. Right to the spot I was for all the big moments. So that was kind of the goal of the show.
That was it. It's called Where Were You? We're taking you back. It's like a time machine. It's like in your pocket. Yeah. So
We had one more. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Steve from Plattsburgh, New York, which is I think like way up on the St. Lawrence. He said his most profound memory was it's kind of like yours, Joel, is sitting on the couch watching Game 4 with his finger on the remote. He didn't want to see a moment And he was, dreading every Yankee, impending doom, he says, with every Yankee at bat.
Yeah.
When Ortiz hit the homer, he said, I actually started to believe the Kevin Millar crap, don't let us win one.
Yep. Absolutely. I
So
love it.
good. So good.
And I want more people to send us you can send us your Where Were You stories too. You can email us at info@wherewereyoupodcast.com. Again, that's info@wherewereyoupodcast.com. And just real quick, the absolute best way to support us and to support this podcast is hit the subscribe button or the follow button wherever you watch or listen, either on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. The more followers, subscribers we have, the more this is going to grow. We really want it to grow into something special. We got a lot of fun shows planned that I think people are going to like. And you can find us, of course, on the social medias, Facebook, X, Twitter, formerly Twitter at RealWWY, Instagram at RealWWY Podcast, and TikTok. I don't think we're on TikTok yet, but we're working on that. I was going to have my that at Real.
The middle-aged white guy audience on TikTok.
Right. I'm not doing that one. I don't even know what that is.
What is it, a
Anyway.
clock?
So we got some of our we're going to get into it here. We've got some of the same segments we had last week, including the Incredible Hulk moment and our newly renamed and slightly more sensitive the moment of existential crisis. We got some feedbacks that we need to change the name of that other one, so that's what it's going to be called now. But I do want to set the stage, and Chad, I know you have some prepared remarks
Yes.
about this time in history. Right around the 2001, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, I think, when we talk about how much 9/11,
Right.
just colored this whole World Series, and really that's what it was all about. So I know you had some stuff you wanted to talk about. So
no, thanks. And I don't claim to have the profundity to capture 9/11 with my own verse, but I did try to reflect on it briefly. And I say we call it the national pastime, and that moniker took on deeper meaning in the weeks after the planes hit the towers on 9/11. Already a pillar of our national identity that has long helped underscore what unites us rather than what divides us. The sport of baseball became an oasis of normalcy. People might not remember this, and a form of group therapy for a country full of anguish and disbelief. The first game in New York came 10 days after the attacks. That was a Mets win over Atlanta. But more to the point, like Boston Red Sox fans sang New York, New York to the Yankees when they came to town. New Yorkers honestly believe the first place Yankees were a team of destiny. And in the words of an FDNY Latterman, because they have 3,000 angels watching over them. The postseason that year kind of sharpened our focus on baseball's capacity to soothe us. And the Yankees' run to the World Series, punctuated by all the commemorations and tributes, offered an elixir of national resilience. Sports journalism's attention to the game became more than recaps and box scores. It sort of leaned into the sport as an emblem of American perseverance at that time, one that offered solace, a sense of pride, and a place to come together. But when game one of this World Series began less than 40 days after September 11th, even the most imaginative baseball fan could never have imagined what was going to happen.
If you needed baseball to heal, this was a good one, because it was, even as somebody who's long had a distaste for the Yankees, I mean, this was high drama, and it was impossible to not watch. But just real quick, just kind of piggyback on what you said. Yeah, obviously 9/11 was the most terrifying thing I've lived through in my life, and especially like living in Boston at the time, because the planes took off out of Boston, and we didn't. I remember, like, not even, and this is from a non-sports perspective, this will always be, I think, the definitive "where were you" moment. Our parents' generation had the Kennedy assassination, but 9/11 was kind of thing we all remember. I mean, I was at work, as so many people were, and just the most terrifying. I mean, it had the sense of reverence, and it had the sense of respect. We all the never forget stuff, but at the time there was still so much fear. It was just not knowing if it was over, or what happened, or why, or who was doing this to us, and and not can I leave the house? Are there still? It was just so much. I mean, the whole country shut down. I mean, everything shut down, and it was Yeah, it was insane, and people, they needed something, and I don't know if baseball is the thing that they needed, but that's one of the things that we got, and everybody really kind of turned their focus, to the World Series that year.
Yeah,
And
it was
like you
definitely one
said,
of
people who didn't root for the Yankees were rooting for the Yankees,
yeah.
and I'm here to tell you, I was not one of them.
Can't go that far. Can't
I'm
do it.
able to compartmentalize. Yeah, I definitely, I 2 things can be true. I can have compassion and empathy and sympathy for the wonderful people in New York, and I can also not want the Yankees to win. And so I was, but yeah, but just from a baseball perspective, this is when the Yankees were just steamrolling everybody, and this would have been, if they had won this World Series, it would have been their 4th in a row, I think, and
That's right.
fifth in 6
And
years, I
5 out of
believe.
6.
And they had just, I mean, and they just seemed unstoppable. And that's, and here they were again. Eh,
Might be hard to believe now, right? Because they haven't won in a long time.
Yeah, and well, 2009 was the last. They were in the World Series last year, but
Yeah.
it's been. It wasn't like it was in the late '90s and early 2000s, where
I
they just had the Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettitte Yankees, Roger
oh,
Clemens. I mean, it
so
was,
great.
yeah, it made for high drama. So let's frame the stakes a little bit. They matched up with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now the Yankees actually came into that series having just beaten the Oakland A's and the
Yeah.
Seattle Mariners, a Seattle
Yes.
Mariners team that was down, that had won 116 games during the regular season.
Which
So the
wasn't
Yankees,
that a record at that
yeah,
time?
yeah,
Yeah.
they set the record for wins during the regular season, and I think the Yankees,
They
I
won
wouldn't say that
90.
they were, yeah, the '90s, but I don't think they were underdogs coming in. But it felt like this was, at least I hoped, maybe this is the one that's finally gonna end it all. But
Real quick, because
yeah,
before, like, 9/11, it was already an amazing baseball season. You alluded to the Mariners winning 116 games, and some really terrific players were retiring after that season. So
sure,
Ripken was retiring, Tony Gwynn
yeah,
retired after that year, Barry Bonds retired after that year, and
Paul
Paul
O'Neill.
O'Neill, who
Yep.
played for the Yankees, retired after that year. So, I mean, it was already like a pretty dramatic season, and everybody was doing farewell tours. And then, as you were talking about those Yankees,
Yeah.
there were guys you really had to respect, like the Jeters and the Bernie Williams and David Justice, and then there were guys that were so easy to hate, like Pettit and Clemens, Soriano,
Right.
Scott Boras, Scott Boras just looked like a rugby player with a bad haircut. But
Alright, let's jump into the series itself. Once the games got started and it was the stage was set, Arizona and the Yankees, and it was all Diamondbacks very much at the beginning.
yeah, I mean, Schilling opened the series, and he had come out of the earlier postseason having pitched 3 complete games in a row. That
That's
stuff
great.
doesn't happen anymore. And so Schill, pitched great, and, Gonzo, I think, hit a homer, and they blew him out.
Yeah.
And then in
Craig
game
Counsell hit
2,
a big home
uh
run, I remember. Yeah.
yes, Fred Jones. And then in game 2, Randy Johnson, who people have to remember, 6'10" lefty, looked like he needed a sandwich all the time.
A a very long sandwich, like a 6-foot party sub, I think.
Exactly. He
Yeah,
pitched a complete game shutout. So first 2 games in Arizona, they're going back to New York, and New York's down 2-0, and I think people were just kinda stunned.
yeah.
Um, I
It was
guess it
such a
wasn't that.
throwback. It was such a throwback too, because I mean, like you mentioned, Schilling pitched, started games 1, 4, and 7,
Yes.
which you never see anymore. And then
Nope.
Johnson actually won 3 games in the series. He started games 2 and 6. But I mean, that was the thing about the Diamondbacks, is that they were a very veteran team, and
Yes.
they were built to win. They were built to win now, and they had this two-headed monster at the top of their rotation with Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson, but they didn't have much in the way of starting pitching after those 2 guys.
No.
I mean, but they were scary going into a 7-game series because you knew you were going to get vintage Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson
Right.
twice at least. I mean, you're gonna have to face each of them twice.
Yeah.
So it was looking good for the Diamondbacks coming in, especially when they won those first 2 games and did it exactly the way they drew it up.
Right.
With Schilling and all getting just enough offense what they needed, and then Randy Johnson shutting them down in a complete game shutout.
Right.
So for those of us who were rooting for the Yankees, if we're not rooting for the Yankees, it was looking good. It was good.
We were feeling
at
good.
that particular point. Let's get right to the existential moment of crisis, shall we? Because it happened not long after. Well, actually, first,
No.
no, not yet. You're right. Yeah, Game 3
Right.
was a must win for the Yankees. They had to win, and they did. Roger Clemens pitched that game
Right.
against somebody named Brian Anderson, I believe.
Right. Who actually pitched really well.
He did, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and then Mariano came in, and it was like lights out as usual.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're back in the series. New York's has new life, at least as far as sports go. And then Game 4, what do you have to say about that?
So they get it to Game 4. Now you gotta credit the Diamondbacks in Game 4 for keeping their foot on the throttle or on the gas, and they went right. They still had a 2-games-to-1 lead at this point. They could have gone to somebody like Miguel Batista, who I think was their number 3 or 4 starter.
Yes.
But they went back to Schilling to really just try to stuff it down the Yankees' throat and take a commanding 3-games-to-1 lead, and it was all going to plan for about 8 innings. But it was fine. I mean, so back then, the Diamondbacks had a young closer named Byung-Hyun Kim, who was, you believe he was only 22 years old?
I read that, and there was a quote from well, it wasn't Matt Williams, Mark Grace after the series. No, you
Mark
talk about
Grace, right?
The team that's built to win now. I mean, Matt Williams and Mark Grace are 2 older, very good players, and he said, "I'm most happy right now after they won for Byung-Hyun Kim because that would have been a long off season."
Oh yeah, I mean, 22 years old, and I'm sure there was culture shock, a language barrier, and he had electric stuff. I mean, he was a side-arming young closer who looked great. He had a great year. He actually had a better year in 2002. A lot of people don't even realize that. He actually bounced back and made the All-Star team in 2002. And
I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that.
But he comes in to the 9th inning in Game 4.
Right. Hadn't given up a run in a month.
Is that true? I didn't know that. Did he give up a run? So it was, but here's the thing. It was fine. It was, it happens. For Game 4, he comes into the game. I think he puts a guy on first base, and with 2 outs in the 9th inning, he serves up a home run to dead center field to Tino Martinez, who tie game, bedlam in the Bronx, as everybody remembers. Do you remember what was going through your mind when this was happening? Do you remember the actual moment watching it?
I do, and I kind of, I was like you, this happens. Closers come in and blow the save. And I think part of me was like, well, that figures.
Yeah, it was just highly irritating. It was like,
yes,
because we thought they had it. They were just about to stuff it down their throats, take a 3-1 lead, and whatever.
Yeah,
they leave Byung-Hyun Kim for like another inning or 2, right? Did it go into the 10th or the 11th inning? I think the 11th.
So
if only there was somewhere we could look it up.
I think it was the 10th, but it feels. I think he brought him in the 8th.
Maybe
actually,
that's what it was.
Because he pitched 2 2/3 innings.
Yeah,
and that was when Jeter became known as Mr. November, because it was the first World Series game played in the month of November.
Yeah. Right, because everything had gotten pushed back a month,
right,
a week, because the whole country shut down for after 9/11, and
Right.
so now we're playing baseball in November. Now they just play baseball in November because there's too many games, but back then it was a new thing. But
Yes.
so okay, then Jeter comes up again. Still, Byung-Hyun Kim is still pitching, and he serves up a game-winning walk-off to Jeter. It's a wall scraper, typical Yankee
Yeah.
Stadium home run,
Right.
and the series is now
That guy
tied.
he didn't hit that many home runs.
Jeter, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, every now and then he had a little pop, but it was always those Yankee Stadium home runs, the ones that just
Right.
319 down the line or whatever it was. But what am I talking about? The guy's like had like 3,500 hits in his career, and I'm like, he wasn't that good.
They're all cheapies.
Yeah, every single one of them was a cheap shot. All right, so fine. The D-backs, they regroup and they come back. Now they've already used the bullet in the chamber with Schilling, so now they have to turn to one of their lesser starting pitchers, Miguel Batista, who's a journeyman, had been around the league for a long time, and who once again pitches the game of his life. Pitches like 7 shutout innings. And the Diamondbacks, they took the lead. They took the lead late. Took a 2-0 lead into the 9th inning, and history repeats itself. Poor Byung-Hyun Kim comes into the game again, and I think who was it this day? It was Scott Brocious this time.
Yes.
The aforementioned Scott Brocious. I've never seen anything like this before. The exact same thing happens again with 2 outs in the 9th inning. A guy gets on base and a game tying home run with 2. And poor Byung-Hyun Kim. I have never seen somebody look like he wanted to just crumble from the inside out as he did. Like he had resting cry face. Like I thought he was crying. I thought he was.
He was. I mean, like a little.
Was he?
He rubbed his eyes, and they had Brenly on audio, and Brenly, the manager, first year manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Bob Brenly,
right?
And he said he took the ball and he said, "Keep your head up." And
I remember that. Yeah.
Him started to walk off the mound with his head down. He said, "No, in front of these people, keep your head up."
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
He did. But
I think. Are you a Marvel guy? Have you seen the Avengers? You know when Thanos he snaps his fingers and half the world disappears. I think Byung-Hyun Kim would have volunteered to do that at that moment. He'd be like, "Sure, I'll just evaporate into dust." It was so heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking to watch this poor kid who just, on such a national, and I can't think of a more hostile environment for somebody to have to go through, and we never saw him again
in the series, nope.
That was it. What were you thinking? I mean, do you remember where you were when you were watching it? Like literally where you were?
Yeah, I think I was in a bar for that game, and so I was paying attention.
There's a surprise.
Wait, listen. But I was paying attention, but only in the way you can pay attention kind of at a bar where you can't get the sound. And I saw the ball go out after Brocious hit it, and I particularly disliked Brocious. And I just it has to be that guy. And I thought the Diamondbacks were dead. I mean, New York was alive again, and it seemed like, and I think you said this. I'm stealing your line, but it was like, no, I'll let you do your line. But it was like the Yankees were meant to win.
Well, it was at that moment that I was utterly convinced that they had cut a deal with Satan himself, and they had cut a deal with the devil. There was no other explanation. And it just it was inevitable, and especially in light of all the of the aftermath of 9/11, it's like, well, of course the Yankees are going to win now, and of course they're going to win this way because it's and I guess in some ways I'm happy. I am happy for the people of New York that they got to experience those games, and it happened.
Yep.
Those are the last games that were played in New York that year, and what a what a send off, and I'm sure what a boost for that city's morale it was.
Yeah. They won all 3 games. They won all 3 games, and 2 of them they had no business winning.
Right.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you look statistically at this series, the Yankees had no business winning this game. Hold on, I wrote it down. I have notes.
Oh, yeah, this is a great
They
stat.
were outscored. The Diamondbacks outscored the Yankees 37-14 in the series. They were out hit. The Diamondbacks batted 264 as a team. The Yankees batted 183. The Yankees had a 4.26 ERA, and the Diamondbacks posted a 1.94 ERA in the entire 7-game series. But my favorite stat is that entering the 9th inning of Game 7, the Diamondbacks trailed in just 7 out of 66 innings. So 89%. The Diamondbacks had the lead in 89% of the innings of the entire
Right.
7-game series going into, which is just insane. I mean, and then to think that the Yankees still almost won.
And then
It-
even
like,
went 7. That it went 7, you're like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
they had to lead 89% of the innings and the series went 7?"
Yeah. It took a blown save from the greatest closer in the history of the game for the Yankees to not win, and it was unbelievable. Let's get into that. Let's get into, I guess,
Yes.
the kind of the Game 7 breakdown and kind of some of that same Incredible Hulk moment that I felt.
Sure.
I mean,
So, who's setting the
um,
stage? Diamondbacks come home to Arizona down 3-2, and they bang out 22 hits in Game 6,
yes,
and the series is tied.
that was. I think that game, which Game 6, I think is kind of forgotten in a lot of ways too. People don't remember that because it was almost as shocking because I was convinced that the Yankees were going to easily win, and then when the Diamondbacks came in and won 15-2 in Game
Right.
6, it was like, well, this is not how the script was supposed to go.
Right, and I can't remember, was it Pettit or Moose Mussina who pitched that? I think it
I
was
think it was
Pettit.
Pettit. I think it was
Yeah.
Pettit, and Randy Johnson started that game, and I
Yeah,
think
okay.
he still pitched 6 or 7 innings, and yeah, Pettit just got knocked around, setting the stage for Game
Yes.
7.
Yes.
And as everybody, it's one of the biggest cliches in sports that there's nothing like a Game 7, but this was in particularly memorable because it was Roger Clemens against Curt Schilling, who kind of had a mentor pupil relationship, both when they were in the Boston Red Sox system. Clemens
Yes.
was, of course, the superstar for the Red Sox, and Schilling was a young up and coming pitcher in the late '80s who was later traded, but obviously came back later. But yeah, I think a lot was made of the fact that he credited Roger Clemens for kind of helping turn his career around. He said that he gave him some advice that he needed to take it more seriously, and that
Wow.
was, yeah. So it was kind of cool to see the two of them squaring off in a
Right,
winner
and
take
also
all championship game. Yeah.
yeah, and the weird love-hate, because I'll just interject really quickly. I grew up in Jersey. I grew up a Yankees fan. My dad on 9/11 was still a very big Yankees fan, and
I've
so
never entirely trusted you just for that reason, by the way.
don't blame
I
you.
just want to say that for the record. Yeah.
Like one of
What
6
do you mean you
guys who
used
made
to
the
be a
split.
Yankee fan? Like
6 people.
when I hang up the phone, yeah, when I hang up the phone with you, are you on the phone with your Yankee friends? Like, yeah, my friend Joel still thinks I like the Red Sox.
Do
Yeah.
you believe
Now
it?
he wants me to do a podcast with him. I'm gonna have to.
It was weird, and so part of me really felt for the tri-state area, particularly New York, and thinking, "Geez, probably be really good for their spirits if the Yankees won." But I hated the Yankees, and I grew up, of course, as a young Red Sox fan. Not grew up, but as a new Red Sox fan, I loved Clemens,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
and now I hated him.
Yeah.
So
Clemens is the reason I like baseball. I'm gonna just say that he is.
wow,
I was, yeah, and we're gonna get him on the show sometime. We're gonna get him. That's my
I
goal.
think
We're
we
gonna get
could
him on
probably
here.
do it.
Who could probably do it? No, he's the reason I like baseball. We can get into it. I'm sure we'll talk about his 20 strikeout games on another day. But yeah, this was my favorite player of all time, and I will never not be heartbroken that he went to the Yankees. But
Yeah.
I still loved watching him pitch. He was still my favorite pitcher to watch of all time. So
Yes, and he
uh,
pitched pretty well. He pitched pretty damn well in the Game 7.
He did. I think, yeah, he left with the lead. Did he
Yeah.
not? Yeah. Uh,
No, he actually gave up the lead. I think they went down. No, you're right. You're right.
the Diamondbacks took the lead 1-0, and then they tied it up, and then Alfonso Soriano in the 7th or 8th inning hit a home run off of Schilling that gave the Yankees a 2-1 lead going into the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah.
And Mariano Rivera coming into the game had never. Well, I can't say he'd never blown a postseason game, but he
No.
he was as invincible as there has ever been in the game, especially in the postseason.
I looked up the last postseason game he'd blown before that was 1997.
Yes.
And they, of course, were in the World Series every year between almost.
Right. But he was automatic. So the inning starts off. I've watched it so many times. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched this particular inning. I to the point where I feel like I even know every word for word of what Joe Buck and Tim McCarver are saying in this. There was one moment, if we talk about the Incredible Hulk moment, or the moment of, or even more of a moment of existential crisis. There was one moment in the 9th inning of Game 7 where Brian Cashman, who is the Yankees general manager or director of baseball operations, or he's been there for decades, and they showed him in the stands, and he was standing next to his wife, and his wife holds up 4 fingers, and she turns to him and she holds up 4 fingers, and and the Yankees are. It seems inevitable that the Yankees are about to win, and it looks like she says 4 straight.
Yeah,
and what I thought she meant was that, hey, this is our 4th straight World Series. I thought she was, kind of having this kind of humble braggy moment, and he just kind of looked and he nodded. And it wasn't until I read the book last night of the Yankees dynasty by Buster Olney, which is a great book. If you've never read it, I recommend checking it out. It really chronicles this whole series and this game in particular really well. She was actually saying 4 strikes because I think they had gotten 1 out, and there was 2. There was 1 strike on the next batter, and I guess that she and Brian Cashman had gotten to the habit of counting down the strikes until the end of the game. So it was much more. And then I felt bad because I was in my mind I was hating poor Mrs. Cashman, but she was just saying 4 strikes. But I remember, but I remember watching that moment, and it just burned me up inside at the moment. I was like, oh, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again. They're like,
No, that's a great existential crisis. I mean, for mine is more pedestrian. It was when Soriano hit the homer. I was not a fan of Soriano either. And he hit it off Shale, who I kind of liked, and that was even before he was a Red Sox player.
Right.
And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously? He was almost out of the inning, and
that pitch that Soriano hit was not a bad pitch. You remember?
No.
It was like a slider almost in the dirt, and he went and he golfed it out, and I don't know how he elevated it, but he got it up and out, and
it was like
pitch.
that. I thought, oh boy.
So Mariano comes in. He comes in the 9th inning. Mark Grace leads off with a single.
Right.
And we're like, okay, we've got, there's hope. So Tony Womack, who was a second baseman for the Diamondbacks, comes up against Rivera, runners at, I think, 1st and 2nd at this point, and hits a game-tying double down the line. And the game is now tied. And I remember being in a state of disbelief at this point. I mean, that we could not believe that this had happened, that Mariano Rivera actually coughed up a lead in a decisive Game 7 World Series game.
Yes.
It was amazing. The next batter up is Craig Counsell. He gets hit with a pitch, and then it sets the stage for what's his name? Gonzalez. Luis Gonzalez. This is my favorite part of this entire inning, because now the bases are loaded, right?
Yes. And if I could just interject about Gonzalez, perennial journeyman who hit 50 homers, 50 plus homers that year.
He had 57 home runs that year, and weighed 98 pounds. I mean, mean, this was a particular era in baseball where that seemed to
Yeah.
happen a lot.
That seemed to
Uh,
happen.
It was there were some other instances, very mysterious, where players who
Right.
didn't hit home runs suddenly hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
But so the Yankees, of course, have to bring the infield in, and Tim McCarver was the longtime, player and color analyst for Fox and been on TV my whole life. Makes the comment as the Yankees bring the infield in. He says the Yankees have to be careful with bringing the infield in because with Mariano Rivera and the cutter that he throws to left-handed hitters, he induces a lot of weak pop-ups on the infield. And with the infield in, it could easily go, land in the shallow outfield. Well, what happens exactly 10 seconds later? Gonzalez
Gonzo.
hits a weak pop-up that lands in the out. Yeah.
Yes.
A
It's a sweep.
game-winning bloop hit. It is probably, until the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004, the most catharsis I have felt as a baseball
Yes.
fan. And I remember just getting so much just satisfaction out of the dejected faces in the Yankee dugout because we had never seen it before. Not like
Never.
this, not on this
No.
stage, and not after everything that had happened to poor Byung-Hyun Kim
Yep.
and everything that had happened. There was such an inevitability that the Yankees were going to win this World Series that when this very likable Diamondbacks team came in and took it away, it was just unbelievable. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm right on board with you, and I think that wasn't even my Incredible Hulk moment, the Gonzo blooper, because I it was almost like I don't believe what I just saw, and I had already sort of had my Incredible Hulk moment when Randy Johnson came in before the ninth
right.
and
Oh,
struck out.
we didn't even mention this. That's right.
Right,
Yes.
struck out 4 guys in a row the day after pitching.
Yeah. On 0 days rest. On 0 days rest. Actually was credited as the winning pitcher for both games 6 and 7 and game 2. He won
Right.
3 of the 7 of the 4 wins went to
So
Randy
I
Johnson.
remember thinking, God, that is just stones to come in and do that when your arm's got to be just completely dead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then sub Incredible Hulk moment for me, by the way, actually was game 3 when, and anybody who knows me knows I was not a fan of the president's policies, but when George Bush came out and threw out the first pitch in game 3 in New York, the first game in New York with the Yankees down 2-0, and throws a strike.
It was have you ever heard the story about how because usually when people come out for the ceremonial first pitch, they don't throw it from the rubber on the mound.
No.
Because first of all, I don't think the team wants them to. I don't think they it's the pitcher's mound and they don't want to mess with it. But
Yeah.
apparently Jeter said to the president of the United States, "Hey, you better throw from the rubber, or they're going to boo you out there." And Bush took him literally and went out there and stood on the top of the pitcher's mound, 60 feet 6 inches away, and fired a strike. So
Fire strike, former first baseman at Yale, but still, that was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
yeah.
Long time.
Well, on that note, I have another favorite little tidbit.
Please.
Patriotism moment. My favorite rendition of the national anthem ever took place before Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. It was a trumpet player named Jesse McGuire. I think he played with Tower of Power and some others, but he played. I mean, just you got to Google it. Go on YouTube and find it. Just
Okay.
Jesse McGuire 2001 World Series. If you're a fan of people who play brass instruments, it might, and he was so pumped up too, and he absolutely crushed it. My favorite one ever.
Yeah.
I know people like Whitney at the Super Bowl. I
That
liked
was good.
Jesse McGuire. But yeah, some ending thoughts about the Yankee dynasty. Does this series? Do you think it still resonates the way it did back then? Is it one that you think people still look back on and remember?
Certainly, baseball fans, and I think maybe even semi-casual baseball fans remember the drama of that series and the heroics of everybody remembers Gonzo's fister into right center field, but the heroism, not real heroes, those were the guys we were honoring at every game, but like the heroism of Schill and Randy Johnson, and frankly, my takeaway from that series was you really got to have two aces.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I mean, back then, I mean, it's different now. The game is different now, but
Yeah.
back in the day, I mean, that was what you needed. But yeah, I mean, it was just I will never forget kind of how that series did help a nation heal, and not entirely, obviously, but it gave us something else to talk about. It was something exciting, and it gave something that it was like I said, it was as much as from a baseball perspective, as much as I felt like a punch in the gut when they hit those 2 home runs in games 4 and 5. There
Yeah.
was a part of me that was so happy for the city of New York that they could just to see it, because we had seen such glum images for a month from New York, and just to see people, the pure joy from those 2 games. It must have been an unbelievable feeling for
Yeah,
the
I
city
can't
of New
imagine
York
being in
back
that
then.
stadium, 68,000, 65,000. There's so many people in that stadium. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a very good observation by you. That the rest of that baseball season and really that series, even though New York lost, really helped settle things a little.
yeah. It all They lost, but they kind of won.
They kind of
We'll give
did.
them that
They
one.
were,
They kind of won that one.
yeah, yeah.
All right, looking ahead to next week, we're gonna talk a little bit about what we've got coming up for next week's show. But before I do that, Chad, last week I told
Mhm.
you that you said you had a prop. It was during the game. It was during the Aaron Boone home run game, and you said you had a particular a piece of headwear
Yes.
that you wore
Yes.
during that game, and I told you had to bring it in. Do you have it by any chance? Or
I was able to locate it, and it was my moment of existential crisis when in 2003 ALCS, I was on my knees in my living room wearing this stupid sequin top hat as
there
a
it
good luck
is.
charm, as the ultimate rally hat, and
This is very compelling for the people who are just listening.
yeah, it's mostly not a good thing for the non-visual,
But the
but it
people
is.
who are watching on YouTube or on Spotify, it looks great. Um, I think you need to now I think we need to have a ceremonial burning of it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
been
seriously, that's a great idea. That's a
although
great I don't even know.
they've had some success since then, so maybe, you know,
Fair enough.
it has sentimental value. Yeah, next week, I don't wanna give anything too much away, but we may have we may have our first well, I think we will. We're gonna have a guest on next week, our first guest. I don't wanna say who it is yet. I wanna keep it a bit of a surprise.
No. A bit of a higher profile type of guy.
Yeah, he's like kind of a Boston celeb a little bit. He's on the airwaves.
Yeah,
People know who he is. We're gonna be talking to him
yeah.
about the 2001 New England Patriots, which was a Super Bowl run that I will never forget, and it was a much simpler time when the entire world didn't hate, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots. People were actually rooting for the Patriots back then. I know that's hard for, like, a whole entire generation to believe, but people were actually
People
looking forward to them winning. Yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be a good one. There are a lot to talk about.
it's gonna be a lot to talk about. Just wanna remind everybody to like, subscribe, follow us. Anything else you have to plug, Chad? What else you got? Anything?
Well, I mean, I really wanna go back to the fact that we're not getting paid, but we should probably talk about it offline.
I told you to make gotta call HR. Thanks as always to Molly Beck Ferguson, our musical director, wrote our amazing theme song. But we're looking forward to keeping this going. We're going to do it again next week in 2 weeks. For my co-host Chad Konecky, I'm Joel Beck. This is Where Were You, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.